Guys, my big green buddy over here and I would like to thank you for showing up to this class of the Comic Book University. We've broken this particular subject down into 9 different parts, and here's one of them right now. Basically, the Hulk was never really considered interesting enough to have his own series. So, quick history of the 4 main comics that Marvel had beside Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four kind of got added a little bit later. Very interesting story. I will do Fantastic Four. It was Stan Lee's last effort before he was going to quit the comic book industry. And yeah, so Marvel had Tales to Astonish, and they had Strange Tales, they had Tales of Suspense, and they had Journey into Mystery. Those were the 4 big comic lines that they had. Now, originally, they were all just short stories put together. 4, 6, whatever, short stories with images, regular comics that we know today, but not one story from cover to cover. There were several stories within, and they were usually just horror stories or some strange phenomenon story. Groot from Rocket Raccoon and Groot, they actually started off, Groot himself actually started off in one of those. He was a big, gigantic, mean tree who came to attack Earth and, yeah, got beaten by termites. Anyway, neither here nor there. But what they wound up doing is they incorporated Thor into the Journey into Mystery comics. Yes. Strange Tales had Colonel Fury, Sergeant Fury, and his Howling Commandos before he wound up doing S.H.I.E.L.D., becoming the director there, Colonel Fury. Tales of Suspense had Iron Man and would eventually have the rebirthed Captain America. But, Tales to Astonish would do Ant-Man. And very shortly after the Fantastic Four came out was the original Henry Pym story, where he discovered the ability to shrink and blah, 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 blah. But several issues later that Stan Lee said, you know what, that was a really great little short story. Let's make him an actual superhero where he shrinks. And pretty soon he found the ability to reverse that and actually grow. Not back to his normal size. He could always do that, but actually grow into a giant man. And he started having envy issues because Hulk and Thor were in the Avengers too. And he's like, I'm not going to shrink down a little. I'm a man, so I'm going to grow big. And yeah, he was complicated. So anyway, the whole book, eventually, of Tales to Astonish became a Ant-Man story. It was several Ant-Man stories all put together into, like, chapterized. Pretty soon they would actually put several different... He wasn't as popular as they were hoping he would be, but he was, at the time, more popular than the Hulk. Believe it or not, there was a time that Giant Man was more popular than the Hulk. So eventually they cut the book into half and said half of the story will be Giant Man and the other half of the book will be the Hulk. They decided to return the Hulk back to a series, but not his own series, shared with an already proven character, Ant-Man. Eventually they would drop Ant-Man and they would bring on Namor the Submariner. And those two would be the forerunners of Tales to Astonish. That happened all the way up until issue number 101. And then they canceled that line of books. Submariner went off into another book shared with Iron Man for one issue, and then he went off and he got his own run for a while. It's actually a pretty interesting run, but it didn't take the way they wanted to. This is still a whole comic discussion. And Hulk actually took over the Tales to Astonish. All right, so issue number 102 of the Hulk, which was, issue number 102 was, 1968. 1968. So from 1962 to 1968, Tales to Astonish featured, and then the Hulk actually took over the comic completely, and they canceled the line Tales to Astonish and then renamed the entire book essentially The Incredible Hulk. And it started with issue number 102. So you'll never find a volume 1 of The Incredible Hulk, issue number 101. Doesn't exist. There is no issue number 100. So it's interesting that that's the way they chose to do that. It's actually the reason why the Fantastic Four, which started before the Hulk, issue number 1, right, at the time was about 20 issues behind The Incredible Hulk. Because the Fantastic Four was always the Fantastic Four book, but the Hulk took over another comic book. Kind of get where I'm going with this? So, yeah, the Hulk is not actually older than the FF. The Fantastic Four predated the Hulk by quite some time. So, the Hulk now took over the series. It's now The Incredible Hulk, and starting from that issue, number 102, that's technically considered volume 2. So, volume 1 of the Hulk is only 6 issues long. Even though they continued the numbering system, Marvel itself actually considers it to be volume 2. Most collectors and the like will say, oh, it's still part of volume 1, whatever, but either way, you know the history of it now. Yeah, the Hulk wound up becoming green. It was actually in the Tales to Astonish comics that they started to do that. The Incredible Hulk actually did a guest appearance with Giant Man in issue number 60 of Tales to Astonish, before he actually came in and took over the other half of that book. The story was that Giant Man came along and said, I feel really bad about the way that, we ended up, with the Avengers, so I'd like to go find the Hulk, and he did. He went after him, but an old enemy of his, the Human Top, who would eventually become Whirlwind, came along and caused havoc and problems, and Giant Man and the Hulk actually had to fight each other. It's actually a pretty interesting story, in the old Marvel telling of things, where the art led the stories, not the writer, and certainly not the editors. The artist, for the most part, guided the story along. So, and the writer had to almost interpret what the artist was doing to make the story go along. So, it was around that time, actually it was that issue specifically, that the Hulk started to change into the Hulk from Banner due to stress or anger or fear or pain even. That was the issue that it actually first started in. That was back in, God, I don't remember what year that actually started. But anyway, so moving forward, when the Hulk actually took over that series, or actually was in the series, it was still Tales to Astonish, and the leader showed up in those issues. The Abomination first showed up in those issues. That's the Hulk that we know now, where he was no longer talking like an intelligent person. Even in the Avengers comics, he was talking like a regular intelligent person, and no, that just didn't sell. It didn't work. We liked the mindless beast better. We liked the Hulk smash Hulk better, right? So that's how that eventually developed. The Hulk didn't work when he was first invented, and it took several years to figure it out, right? But eventually they got it, and then when he took over the title series, and issue 102, the Hulk continued on, we were pretty much endeared to the Hulk, especially when Sal Buscema took over the drawing. Wow, right? That's the Hulk that most of us think of. Look up some of the Sal Buscema drawings of the Hulk, and yeah, that's that savage beast, Hulk smash guy that we know and love today. So anyway, the Hulk became this this beast who just wanted to be left alone, unbelievably strong. It didn't take too long for them to make him actually stronger than the Thing. In fact, they originally made it that the Thing was stronger than the Hulk, right? Not even on par, but actually stronger in that first crossover. And they fixed that afterwards, slowly but surely. And we know that the Thing and Hulk battles are always some of the best because it's pure brute strength versus strategy. Because the Thing just isn't quite as strong as the Hulk, even when it's the resting Hulk, right? And we know that the madder Hulk gets, the stronger Hulk gets. Guys, thanks for stopping by. This is Professor Bill, the absolute best teacher you'll ever have, at the Comic Book University, the definitively greatest school you're ever going to attend. And you too can attend the Comic Book University simply by hitting subscribe below. Take part in the conversations by discussing below, and send a like my way. I appreciate it. Talk to you later. Class dismissed.